Reds fans, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Liverpool. And this weekend we had a home game against Watford. Watford obviously just got a new manager in, Nigel Pearson. So from their side, they're hoping for that bounce, that new manager bounce. And for us, it was more of the same. Keep on the pressure, get another 3 points before we head off to the Club World Cup. And these lunchtime kickoffs, these Saturday lunchtime kickoffs, sometimes have a strange atmosphere. They kind of just don't feel the same as maybe a 3 o'clock or an evening kickoff of 5:30 or something like that. So it was really important that the crowd picked up and then the players fed off that. And I think the crowd played a role in the game. I think we did seem a little bit tired. Obviously, we just come off a very, very intense must-win Champions League game away at Salzburg. And I think that did show on the players. Some of the players that maybe wouldn't expect, players like Van Dijk, looked a little bit tired and was making some mistakes that he maybe wouldn't have. And this was actually really interesting analysis that I came across from Melissa Reddy, who I think is a sports correspondent at The Independent. She's actually one of my favourite football journalists. She always comes up with points that I feel like are just contrary and open up a different perspective on something, which obviously what journalists should do. But I was watching Sunday Supplement here in the UK, and just a point she made, which really kind of resonated with me, that some of the players did look a bit, not necessarily leggy, because I think we put in some energy, but kind of more mentally tired maybe, just leading to some mistakes, and we just weren't being as clinical as we have been for much of the season so far. So that was kind of the only kind of negative or like improvement thing I noticed, that maybe we weren't on our top form in this game. But there were many good things in this game. Obviously, we'll get to the goals in a little bit, but for me, I really liked the team we picked. The front three haven't played together for the last couple of games as Klopp's been doing his kind of rotation stuff. But it was good to see them back in the team. Shaqiri back in the team as well. Obviously, he's come back to full fitness now. So he's a great addition to the team. But although we kind of started out with what you would assume would be the 4-3-3, actually, what we were playing in the game, which was good to see, was like kind of almost a 4-2-4. So Henderson and Gini Wijnaldum as the two kind of midfielders, and then Shaqiri kind of pushing high up on the right, providing that width so Mo Salah could come into that kind of inside right channel. And then Mo Salah coming in from that inside right channel, almost that centre forward role. And then Bobby Firmino kind of also being there, but also dropping a little deeper and picking the ball up for the midfielders as well. And I thought that was actually really progressive, and I thought that was really, really good that Klopp was kind of employing that formation against a team like Watford, who were going to sit back behind the ball. Obviously, with a new manager, they just didn't want to get thrashed, which I completely understand. But the 4-2-4 is, I think, a good way for us to exploit that. It gets Salah more central. Firmino can link up a bit more. But it still gives us the width and it kind of spreads the defence, which gives more space for the likes of Salah and Firmino. So that was really positive. I was glad to see that as what we were playing. I didn't think we needed kind of the three in midfield, because Watford weren't going to cause us too many problems. But actually, in hindsight, looking back at the game, they actually caused us a lot more problems than they probably would have back under the old manager. They broke pretty well. Obviously, they were playing mainly on the counter-attack, and they actually, both in the first half and the second half, had actually quite a lot of good chances. I think they were just let down by their pretty abysmal finishing. I think Doucouré had a couple of chances. Ismaila Sarr had that chance where the kind of ball came to him on the half volley, and he wasn't sure whether to side foot it or lace it, and he kind of did neither in the end. But they did cause us some problems, so fair play to them. Nigel Pearson got them in the right frame of mind, playing in the right way. So I'm interested to see what happens to Watford moving forward. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll stay up, but we'll see what he's able to do. But anyway, so in terms of us, in terms of Liverpool, we didn't really create too many clear-cut chances in the first half. There weren't many saves that Ben Foster had to make that we were like, oh my god, I can't believe we missed that. But we did eventually get the goal, and actually it came from a Watford attack, as is often the case when you play against teams that sit back behind the ball. From the couple of attacks they have, that's actually probably when they're the most vulnerable. And we were able to break from the corner. Roberto Firmino, kind of halfway into our half, was able to just flick the ball over his head with a beautiful little pass over to Mane, who was then able to play the ball forward right into Salah. Salah was one-on-one with Kabasele, who'd actually been defending pretty well up until then. But Salah was able to just chop back onto his right foot and then bury the ball, almost kind of like loop the ball into the top right-hand corner. Ben Foster had no chance. And I think it was what we deserved. Obviously, we dominated the game, but Watford did, as I said, did have a couple of chances. So that was something to be wary of. But it was good to go into the break at 1-0 up. I think that was a big thing for us. I think we may have just got a little bit panicky had we not got that goal. But that was a good settler, and I think obviously Klopp got into them probably a bit in half time. I think we came out with a bit of verve, or a bit of extra verve. In the second half, and we almost nearly made it 2-0. Well, we did make it 2-0, but VAR ruled out Sadio Mane's header for offside. And actually, if you haven't watched the highlights, check the highlights out. But that disallowed goal was very reminiscent of the Gini Wijnaldum header against Barcelona. So the ball came out to, I think, James Milner, who played it out to Shaqiri on the left wing. Shaqiri whipped in a beautiful cross, and Sadio Mane glanced a header in past Ben Foster, but unfortunately, I think it was his hip or his butt or his leg or something was slightly offside. The more I watch kind of football and I see decisions like this, I feel like there should be like an umpire's call, like there is in cricket, in football, so that the benefit of the doubt is given to the striker, because the benefit of the doubt at the moment is always going to the defender. The defender could just hold a really unnatural body position to get themselves on side, and I just think it should favour the attacker. I think we should be trying to encourage goals, not discourage goals. But anyways, we did end up getting the second goal, and it came right at the end of the half, and it was kind of the ball was kind of pinballing a bit in the box, but Salah was able to beautifully flick the ball between Christian Kabasele's legs, actually, which was a very, very classy finish. And so the game was wrapped up right at the end there. Actually, an interesting stat I saw on Empire of the Cop. If you're a Liverpool fan, please do follow them on Twitter. They're a great account, post some great Liverpool content. But they were saying that, so obviously Mo Salah's last 3 goals, including the one against Salzburg in midweek where he got it in from a really tight angle, all of them being with his right foot. You know, everyone has been saying for so many years that Salah's so one-footed, and if he's now started scoring with his right foot, it's over for everyone else, because if he's now sharpening up that piece of skill, it's absolutely over for everyone else. They can't show him onto his right anymore. But I think all in all, it was kind of just a get the job done kind of performance, which was all we really needed prior to going away to the Club World Cup. So that was all we could have asked for, 3 points, and obviously being the early game, winning puts the pressure on your opponents, and we saw the kind of effects of that on the Leicester result. Obviously Leicester drawing at home to Norwich after their kind of very good streak of winning games. Winning early sometimes is difficult because of the atmosphere and stuff like that, but if you do win, it piles a heap load of pressure onto your opponents. Obviously, Man City playing Arsenal as well. Arsenal trying to prove a point later today as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that result pans out. But as I said, all in all, it was kind of a get the job done performance. So a fantastic way to head off into Qatar. But before we end this episode, there's just a couple of other things to shout out that have been happening in the world of Liverpool. The first one is the news this week that I think it's pretty much all but confirmed. I don't think Liverpool FC have released an official statement, but I think it's confirmed now that Minamino from Salzburg will be joining Liverpool in January for £7.25 million, which in today's world is just ridiculous, right? You think about he's an experienced Champions League player. He's 24. He's played in a very good league. He's played with some great players. You think about the amounts of money that players like, Joe Linton, for example, or someone like that's gone, right? Who's probably less proven than someone like Minamino. But we are, the European winner is going to be able to get a player like that at such a cut down price. So really, really exciting. Kind of the only times I've really watched him play is when Liverpool played Salzburg twice in this Champions League, and I've been really impressed with him. He seemed like really busy, willing to close down, willing to press, but also got some quality when he has got the ball. He does remind me of a bit of what Son was like when he was kind of at Leverkusen, and when he was leaving Leverkusen and coming to Tottenham. And obviously we've seen the strides that Son's taken on, right? Like Son is now one of the best players in the Premier League, and I think Minamino has that same kind of quality. So it'll be great to see him. I think he'll be a great addition. Obviously, we didn't make any huge signings in the summer, but Minamino is, again, I think many people have said, and it's very easy to see, he looks like a Klopp kind of player. So that's really exciting. And then obviously we had the 2 contract extensions on Friday as well, which are incredibly positive. So we had Jurgen Klopp extending to 2024 and James Milner extended to 2022. So again, 2 huge players, huge people in Liverpool Football Club and in the dressing room, choosing to extend. I think some of Pep's assistants also got extended, which is great to see. So yeah, that's really positive for us. Some of the most influential people in our club renewing and staying on. I think it's no coincidence that Gerrard also renewed a contract to 2024. I think someone is succession planning. I think there should be succession planning, and I'm sure some of those conversations have already been had with Gerrard and with Klopp. So that'll be very interesting to see. But to end off the episode, obviously we're off to Qatar now for the Club World Cup. We'll be facing Monterrey in the semi-finals, who beat, I don't know who they beat, but they found their way into the semi-finals, so it'll be Monterrey who we play. And hopefully, obviously, we can go on to the final next Saturday and come back against Leicester with that crest on our badge, which I think is really cool. I remember seeing Real Madrid, they used to have that crest. I think it's really cool, so it'd be really, really good if we can get that crest. Obviously, in my life, I've only seen Liverpool play one of these Club World Cup finals once, and we lost to Sao Paulo, I think it was, in the final in 2005. So hopefully we can go one step better this year and win the FIFA World Club Cup. That's really hard to say. Yeah, I'm going to end the episode with a shout out to Klopp, as I always do. And it's actually related to the Club World Cup. And just as I was saying now, I think it'll be a really, really good thing for Liverpool to win. Obviously, another piece of silverware. We won the Super Cup earlier this year as well. And as Klopp says, he wants to keep winning trophies and get us in that kind of mood and expecting to win trophies. So I think my shout out to Klopp this week is to not really underestimate both Monterrey and whoever we play in the final. I'm pretty certain he won't. Klopp's not that type of guy, but it's almost kind of like, let's not just assume we're going to walk over these teams. They're there for a reason because they've won a championship. Yes, the opposition may not be at the level and caliber that we've had to face, but that doesn't mean they're not good sides. So we should take them seriously. I think we will still win the tournament. Obviously, just our form and everything like that, we've just been absolutely solid. So I don't see... I think obviously all the other teams there will be not wanting to face us. Monterrey will probably, I think they'll be relishing the chance to face us because it's a good challenge for them. But, I think everyone fully expects us to win. So that should be an interesting. Obviously in the UK here, all the games are on the BBC, if any Liverpool fans listening to this didn't know. So that's good to see, free-to-air Liverpool games. That's very, very rare. But BBC will also be having Liverpool's FA Cup game against Everton in the new year, which should be another very interesting game. Out of all of the hundreds of teams in the FA Cup, I can't believe we managed to pick Everton. How crazy is that? So that should be another game. Obviously, in the midweek as well, we've got the EFL Cup, which we'll be fielding a B team for, which would be very interesting to see how that goes also. So we've got a jam-packed week before we next come back into Premier League action against Leicester on Boxing Day, which actually feels a long way away, but I'm sure it will come around very, very soon. But yeah, so we're just going to have a week of no Let's Talk Liverpool, but I'll be back again reviewing the Leicester game. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.